The Power of Four is the first book in the Legacy of the Goddess series. It is a tale of fantasy, magic, and adventure, set in ancient Egypt in the mythical village of Neten on the banks of the great sacred river. Chapter 13. The Soothing South. Bodhi, Ezra, and Naved walked alongside each other. They had reached the town of Ur by boat, just as the sun was setting. The air was cool and moist, and it had rained recently. The pebbled road was still wet. Naved kept talking. Ezra barely listened. He was wondering about his father. "Do you know what my name Naved means?" "It means the good news." Ezra and Bodhi were not listening, because in front of them stood the most stunning-looking girl they had ever met. Ezra opened his mouth, but could not think of anything to say. He realized he was tongue-tied as usual. Naved, however, had no such difficulty. "Greetings. I am Naved. My elder brother Bodhi. This is our good friend Ezra. We are outsiders to this town, fellow travelers and traders. And you are?" The girl looked at them and said nothing. She was a tall girl. She wore a single gold amulet on her arm. She had black coal-lined eyes, flawless skin. She wore no other jewelry. She had thick, shoulder-length hair. She wore drab clothes, but her beauty stood out. It could not be hidden. Ezra was impressed with Naved, with the way he made them sound so important. They looked hopefully at the girl, but she had started walking away. "Forget about her," said Bodhi. "Let's find a place to get rest." Ezra had an address given by his uncle. They showed it to a passerby, and he pointed to the outskirts of the city, almost in the opposite direction from the place they stood. By the time they knocked on the door of the lodge, they were tired. An old man came out and saw the handwritten note that Ezra showed him. He made a signal, a circle with his fist on his heart, and Ezra returned the salute back. They were led into the modest house, where the old man showed them a room with cots lined side by side. "This is where all our travelers take rest for the night, and in the morning they are off on their way again." They were fortunate to get warm water and clean clothes at the lodge. They sat at a wooden table where they were given unleavened bread and roast vegetables. It was a simple yet nourishing meal. Naved kept the conversation alive. Bodhi looked at Ezra and saw that look again on his face. Now where had he seen that tongue-tied look before, he asked himself. He turned and saw the girl. Aha, thought Bodhi. She had the same closed-off look on her face, and she was holding a tray of sweets. "This is halwa, made with semolina and sweet syrup. My daughter Tani makes it very well." She offered the tray to the visitors and looked at them and said, "Don't forget to take the jug of water to your room with you." After dinner, the guests went to their room, where they would rest for the night. Tani followed with blankets and a jug of water. Ezra waited for her to leave. She seemed to be taking her time with the blankets. Finally, she left them alone. Ezra and Bodhi discussed the route to the oasis. "Only after getting all the implements from the 4 directions can I embark on the journey to find my father. Also, did I mention, we don't have much time. I have to get these tools and get back to Neten so that my father is freed," said Ezra. "Why do you need the implements?" asked Bodhi. "It is only then we can conduct a ceremony to know the whereabouts of my father, who may be imprisoned in the netherworld by a powerful magician. It is called the ceremony of the 4 gates. It will be conducted in Neten in the presence of my family members," said Ezra. Who are your family members? Are they priests? Asked Bodhi. I didn't know for a long time. It is after I was initiated that I learnt about their true identity. But we must hurry. The more we delay, the more my father gets caught in the mist, and it will be harder to free him, said Ezra. We better hurry then, said Bodhi. Ezra asked Bodhi about his family. Bodhi said that their mother had died when they were small, and that their father, who was a priest, brought them up. His father had a big eatery where pilgrims from all corners of the land visited. He died too, leaving the eatery to him and his younger brother. About my family, keep it a secret, cautioned Ezra. They heard a slight rustle. Bodhi rushed outside to see Tani, listening with her ear to the door. Did you hear anything? He asked harshly. Rather too harshly, thought the tongue-tied Ezra. I know where to find the healing water. The rock you talked about is in the oasis of Asa. I will help you find it, only if I can come with you, said Tani confidently. But what will you tell your father? Blurted Ezra. He is not my father, said Tani. But he called you his daughter, said Bodhi. He is a friend of my family. We fell on hard times. I am the help here. I keep the lodge clean and cook the food, said Tani. What about your family? Asked Bodhi. They are back in the village in the south. Please, let me help you. I've always wanted to see outside this town. Maybe I'll get a good job with better pay somewhere else, said Tani. What about the old lodge keeper? Asked Ezra. He will not miss me. He will hire someone else. They keep coming and going. He can't keep count anymore, smiled Tani. Both were almost blinded by her beauty. Tani said the one thing that she was really good at was finding water, and that it may be of use to them in their journey. Hearing this, Ezra could not refuse. Bodhi looked impressed. Her story was far more intriguing than theirs. They decided to leave the house by dawn. At the break of dawn, they left the house one by one. First to leave was Tani, followed by Bodhi and Naved, and finally Ezra, who paid the lodgekeeper and thanked him for his services. The sun was directly overhead, and it was warm. They were still nowhere near the Asa oasis. They had to reach the rock that spouted the healing water once a day. After a while, they felt lazy and a bit sleepy. They stopped to buy some stuffed bread and tea, which they ate hungrily. Tani wanted to buy a jug to hold the sacred water. She took them to a small shop, where a woman was busy selling earthenware. She showed several jugs, but Tani did not like any of them. Show me something beautiful and rare. These look ordinary. Come inside, said the lady. She took them inside the shop and drew the curtain aside, which concealed a section of the shop. There, on the shelves, were beautiful pieces of black clay pottery. She unwrapped a jug made of black clay, and it gleamed in the darkened room. Tani grabbed it and showed it to Ezra, who felt it was the right choice, and immediately Tani paid for it before Ezra could react. Tani took them to the older part of the town, where houses and lanes were built more closely to one another, and soon they had entered a maze of pathways and houses. After a while they left the crowded paths and kept walking south. The air seemed cooler and the wind moist. They felt the presence of water. They soon came to a small cluster of palm trees. This was the famous Asa oasis. It looked peaceful, away from the hustle and bustle of the town. They walked on the little path leading to a small clearing. This place is famed for its healing water, which spouts from a rock once a day, said Tani. We have to wait for some time. In the meantime, we need some nourishment. She took a ceramic flask from her bag and poured out some hot tea. To go with it, she had made some delicious bread rolls stuffed with cheese that was hard to resist. She kept away a few of the bread rolls for later. They felt better after the meal. They were glad to have Tani with them. She knew what she was doing. They waited in the clearing where there was a huge rock. There were other people who had come for the water as well. Suddenly, the rock spouted water. Tani went toward the fountain and filled the black clay jar with the sacred water. While doing so, she hummed a beautiful tune. Now, our work is done here. We have the healing water from Ur. Thank you for listening. This was a chapter from the Legacy of the Goddess, Power of Four. Tune in every Friday for a new chapter. You can also buy the whole book right now. Visit legacyofthegoddess.gumroad.com to buy the Power of Four in both written and audio format, as well as a special discounted bundle.